that means the people that are delivering the education, the students receive education from people who are paid a decent salary, a livable salary, who get a good contract, who get real work, not precarious work. Are you with me? All right, and more importantly, I'm with you. That's what it's all about here, because you're fighting not just for yourselves, you're fighting for a better education system. You're fighting for a brighter future so that young students who become grad students are treated with respect and dignity. Have the ability, absolutely, are treated with respect and dignity. Have the ability to work in a decent way, to have a real livable wage and livable salary. What you're asking for is fairness. What we're asking for is fairness. What we're asking for is fairness, and this university and this government has a responsibility to deliver fairness. That's right, to deliver respect for the workers. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to a brighter future. Thank you for your commitment to a strong education system. We stand with you. I'm proud and honored to be here to stand with you. You have the support of the Ontario New Democrats, my colleagues, when I was, yes, shout out to Ontario. You have the full support of Andrew Horvath, the future premier of our province. That's right. And you have the support of the federal leader of the New Democratic Party. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. We're going to continue fighting for fairness. We're going to continue fighting for fair contracts. We're with you all the way. Thank you.
We're York University, and we're currently in the middle of a strike. So how do you feel about unions? Are you pro-union? Are you anti-union?
I'm anti-establishment, so if that makes me pro-union, then so be it. I feel, you see, as an international student, I would say there's a constant battle, because you're torn between, like, I pay international tuition. We all know that the Canadian government engages in educational tourism, which means international students are like massively exploited.
Yep.
So I should be against the strike because I want to get my tuition's worth.
Yeah.
But ultimately, my need for everyone to have like a livable wage. Like, I mean, how can the people who are teaching you not feel comfortable enough to teach you? Like, what kind of thing are we promoting? Like, they're supposed to be the epitome of what you want to aspire to in a certain sense. So if you're like, these are their current conditions, then what is there for me? Like, so I put that above my, being an international student, and just feeling like they should just get back to work already.
I'm part of Unifor 1996, so I'm a union member. But I'm it's tricky. I'm against unions in some stances and then pro-union in others. If I feel like it's a monopolistic company, it's just one company in an industry, then I believe unions are important, because that company can easily play with the labor market, send away jobs, and not create any jobs, and that's where we need to protect our workers. But if it's an industry where there's a lot of players, a lot of employers on the market, then I don't believe in the union. So that's it just depends on the employer for me, because the union is just your employees and the employer. You got to come to some sort of consensus. And I think we see a lot of that happening here at York University, right? It's a monopolistic institution. You got 50,000 students you got to teach, and it's not very easy for CUPE members to go to another university and teach, right? Because courses are there for like 6 months or 3 months at a time. So it's very tricky in that sense.
What about you?
I personally believe that unions should be a part of every single field, because no matter what, the system that we currently operate under is one in which all workers are exploited. So they need to be together in solidarity in order to achieve the things that they need in order to continue to provide the services that they do.
Right, okay. So if you were just omnipotent and you had, one shot at fixing wage gaps and inequality in the marketplace, just, you could implement a law, a policy, you could change things in society, what would you do?
One shot.
Yes.
That's not possible, because I, as you can see, visibly represent as a black woman, and that already is like capitalism hasn't even come into play, like racism, sexism. Look, one of my core qualms with the socialist movement, like I agree with the fundamental concept of socialism, but one of my qualms is about the fact that it's perpetuated that capitalism is like the universal person. I'm like, no, come on, poor white people are still racist, and like poor men are still sexist, like rich men are still sexist. It cuts across board. So saying that one shot at fixing inequality, it's not possible. Like it's there are too many intersections to factor into play. It's not a one shot thing. It's a series of um, innovative solutions, talks, work. I mean, come on. There's Black Lives Matter now. The civil rights movement was about 50 years ago. Like it's no, it's just not one shot is not going to do it.
Okay. In terms of one-shot movement, well, what I think we should do is just change the public's perception on a union. Unions started to protect a group of workers, right? Guilds and all of this sort of stuff. It's basic history. But most of the unions that exist started with grassroots movements. So instead of a company with 1,000 employees saying, let's all start a union, and they have one person making the decision of what to bring to the table to the employer, we should avoid all of that. We should have more of a flat approach than a top-down approach when dealing with unions, and make everyone's suggestion heard, and allow everybody to actively participate in union discussions. Instead of having a group of executives in the union and then all of the people they represent and they collect union dues from make those decisions for us. That's when people get distrust with unions. So if there's one thing that we can change, it's just encouraging more grassroots movements. More things like a group of us just saying, okay, let's start a union. Maybe the government should have some sort of easy accessibility to a package maybe you fill out and you create a union. So things like that. And I think that will drive the most change instead of giving it in the hands of politicians and executives and this and that.
However, I don't think that the government would hand something like that down. I believe that if one movement were to do something that positive, it would be to have the workers themselves take control of these corporations, for them to have a democratic control over their work, their own labor. Yeah.
Yeah, similar.
Okay, so since we're trying to fight, low wages and just the wage gap for men and women, do you think it would make sense for women-led unions to exist?
No, I don't believe so. Because we need as much solidarity as possible within these unions. And as she brought up earlier, there are so many different intersections within these just the working class, right? So it's hard to get everybody on the same page if you're saying, well, the women are going to be here. Well, when you have women of different races, of different religions, of different sexual orientations, and they don't all have the same views. So if you were to divide it within gender lines, it's not going to really do much difference either way. So I think you need the solidarity of the workers to see that they do have something in common, right? They're all suffering under the hand of their employer, and for when they work together, I think it would help them open their eyes to see how much they have in common. So to divide within any kind of line, it would be very detrimental to their goals as a union.
Okay, fair enough.